So we decided public school wasn't suitable for Thomas. He was in elementary school, a public school, but it wasn't for him, and the movement to middle school was going to be difficult for him. So we looked around the area for different education alternatives outside the standard public school system. We looked at Evergreen charter schools. We looked at different options for private education, and we came here. We liked what it offered. Very child-centred education.
Yeah, we like the size because it's not too big and intimidating, whereas Evergreen felt quite big. And I think that made a difference. It felt very like there was a really strong community and that things were very accessible. It wasn't an overwhelming environment in any way, which I think Carolina Day felt a little bit overwhelming, so did Evergreen.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And really it was about when we first came and we met Sheila, very clearly there was a lot of talk about finding out about Thomas. So it wasn't telling us about the school and about what Omega offered. What struck us was how much they wanted to find out about Thomas and what they could offer him, rather than telling us what a great school it was. And I think that struck a chord with us. And I think ultimately it was the feeling that Thomas was going to be Thomas, and he's going to be treated as Thomas, and they were going to try and bring the best out of Thomas that really cemented us on our opinion on
it just felt like a really good
school.
fit from the first tour, really. You could just see Thomas being here and being happy here.
Yeah, Thomas spent the day here in the 6th grade classroom, and he came home enthusiastic about being at school.
Very enthusiastic for the first time in, well, possibly ever, actually.
Yeah, so really great impression, both from the first process of meeting Sheila and learning about the school, through to the first experience in the 6th grade classroom with Jenny and Justin, through to Thomas really coming home enthused and being able to tell us about what he had done during his first day at school.
Yeah, and even enthused about what he would learn in the year to come. He's like, if I go there, I'll do this and this and this, and he was really excited about it.
Yeah, and it made us excited. So we were very nervous. We were worried about Thomas moving into the middle school. But that
changing schools it feels like a minefield. You're never sure if you're doing the right thing. But I felt pretty good about it.
Yeah, I don't think over the summer we had any concerns at all.
No, not at all. So we had been at international schools. So he'd been at 2 international schools previously. And the way that they work, it's smaller class sizes, excuse me, just a smaller staff to people ratio. There's a lot more emphasis on taking charge of your own learning and speaking up. And then he came here, and while the elementary school he went to is a good school, it just wasn't for him. He wasn't encouraged to speak up. And he just was really retreating and withdrawing. He'd nothing positive to say about school. And just then that was starting to affect his whole sort of being. He was just losing his spark. And that's when we thought, so then when we saw the middle school that he should have gone to, it was going to be more of the same. And he was just quite, I don't know, depressed, but he was really down about moving there and just thought it's just going to be the same. It's going to be the same as his elementary school. And it's a shame because he's a bright boy and he loves learning stuff. He loves information. And so we thought we have to find somewhere that will bring that out in him, I think.
Yeah, Thomas loves to learn. Thomas loves to question. Thomas needs to understand why. And public school wasn't giving him that. And again, what we felt was Thomas would be in an environment where he would be able to learn, not to be taught.
Yes, definitely. Which was really, we hadn't had that anywhere else, actually. It was very much, this is what we have and this is why you should come here, rather than feeling that it would be a good place for Thomas, I think.
To the graduation, a lot of, in the speeches that the 8th graders did, a couple of them mentioned, it's hippie school. But actually it's not. I mean, we make fun of it, and I'm a conservative person, okay, so I'm as far away from being a hippie as possible. But I've learned something as a parent from the school and from their approach. So it's actually, It's taught us something, I think, about being parents as well. So it's not just about how Thomas is at school, but the community, the Rainbow community, has taught us something as well.
Oh, definitely,
because I think that's been a really positive experience.
We come from quite rigid school systems also, so it's opened our eyes to what a kind of educational experience you can have. It doesn't have to be this middle of the road, rigid, constantly testing environment. It can be something completely different. So it's been a real eye-opener for us, and I'm picking up tips all the time for how to deal with a 12-year-old. Yeah, it's just what you want for your child. Like, you can't believe that there's some are actually managing to do it, because I felt like we were really restricted in what we could do for Thomas before, what a school could do for Thomas before.
Actually, you just didn't feel school was there really for you. No. It's a machine.
Oh no, but the thing is, I don't think that the teachers I think felt as restricted as the children. I don't think the teachers were in any way awful teachers. They were great, but they didn't have the scope to do these things in a public school. And I'm sure lots of them would love to incorporate some of the things that Rainbow do, but I think the option just isn't there.
I think that's very true, and that's understandable, and that's just a function of what public school is. Sure. I think in terms of what we're going to miss about North Carolina, Rainbow, weather, food.
Yeah, in that order.
But truthfully, one of the things we'll miss about being here in North Carolina is Omega Middle School.
Oh, definitely, and Thomas will too, for sure.
Yeah. He really did flourish through the year, and you could see the change in him. You could see the change he brought home.
Yeah, and even from early on, it just seemed like he was accepted really quickly. He found friends that he really connected with, and kids that were, I wouldn't say like him, but just shared his interests of talking about medieval history and Lamborghinis and just, really
wide range of stuff. Yeah, wide range of stuff.
As well, so I mean, on a social level, that was great. He's not had that kind of connection and acceptance, I think, from peers before, I would say. While he's had good friends, he's really been the whole Thomas here.
Yeah.
And then academically, I've never seen him so engaged. He's never been one to come home and say, we did this today, but I heard every day something that he was doing. He would talk so enthusiastically. His electives were amazing. I would have liked to have done some of his electives. I saw him trying new things like interests that I just would not have picked for him. Like, if I had said, do you want to try this elective? I would have expected him to say no. And he really just took a chance on things that he had no idea whether he would like or not. He just seemed to soak it up, I think.
He did. Thomas, if you asked Thomas, he'd say that people were kind.
Yes.
That would be the first thing he would say. And he talks about not just the teachers being kind, but the students, his fellow students, being kind as well. And I think it's the fact that it's the school, and the ethos of the school really does run through the whole body of the school. Yes. And not just the academic staff, but also the pupils as well.
And I have to say, if we could have picked two people to educate our child this year, like, we couldn't have done better than Jenny and Justin. They were just amazing. They really treated Thomas like a really special person, and I see that they do that with everyone. And he felt it, he felt like he was appreciated and seen and listened to, and that made such a big difference to him. He really feels that he has a place and a voice, and that was really important. It was recommended by someone. I think I was talking to someone about what other schools were available in Asheville or in the Asheville area, and I think that had come up, Carolina Day, Odyssey, which are all schools I actually hadn't heard of. And that's really just where it started. We checked out the websites, we called up the school. So it was just really a random thing.
I think we did some research. We did some research on the internet.
Yeah.
Very good website. But what was interesting was when we started talking about Omega, it was amazing how many people said, "Oh, I know somebody who's got a child there,"
Yes, that's right.
and it came actually with glowing recommendations for everybody. There wasn't a negative comment.
No,
Whereas other schools did say, "Well, it was pretty good at this and this," but there's always a but. But when talking to people who've had friends or had friends of friends, there was never a but.
That's true.
There was never a what?
A but.
But
Omega was great, but
gotcha.
there was never a but.
Got it.
Yeah. Magic website there. Tell you what drew us in.
We're done.
I'd say go take a look. Absolutely. I think the fact that they have a day where the kids can shadow a class is great and really just shows what Rainbow has. I don't know, what would you say?
I would say Omega School's fantastic. I'd say if you want your child to be at the centre of their educational needs, it's the place to go. If you want your child to develop and grow in confidence and be themselves, I couldn't recommend a better place. And yeah, go and take a look, meet Sheila, and spend the day here, and it'll show you, I think.
Which one? What is it?
That's Thomas's teachers, and they were brilliant, and he adored them. And I'm not letting you do this anymore.
He only adored them
You're
because
gonna
he didn't do a
have to
scrap of work the whole time he was here.
Oh my God. I'm having you booted out. Security.
And action. And you're not allowed to make
I'm
me
going to
laugh.
hit you before this begins, I tell you.
It's just breaking the ice and making everybody relax.